That's that's a change to the going live way of doing it, which isn't great, I have to say. Sorry about that. So what you have to do now is you have to do it in the settings, whereas before you just did it in the as you were going live. So yeah, that's not great. But there we go. Well, welcome to the channel. Sorry for that rather delayed beginning there. The worst part of it was I spilled my painting water as well. So what I thought we'd go through today is, as you can see on the camera here at the moment. Hello, Andreas. I hope it's right this time. I'm looking at it on my my laptop, and it seems to be going. What I thought we'd look at today is I've got 2 packs here from my trip to Warlord Games. Let me just mute myself. There we are. I've got 2 packs from my visit to Warlord Games that I thought we'd have a quick review of. I've got Hanoverian Command, and I've got Waterloo British, although they're going to be some Americans. And I thought I'd quickly show off at the last live stream we did, or one of the last live streams we did. We were looking at this Caballero Miniatures knight. Now I've painted him. He's a mercenary knight. I painted him as an English knight, and I'm going to call out Seventh Son here and say I think he is as good as Seventh Sons. No, I don't really think he's as good as Seventh Sons at all, but I thought I'd show him off because he's now finished. The basing that I've done, this is from Luke APS's basing company. Well, I don't think he's part of it anymore. And this one is Mediterranean soil. This one. So that's what I did with him. So I thought we would I'd just show him off on the channel because I know some of you guys saw me painting him before. So that's him. He's done. So what I thought we would do is we'd have a look at these. Now I am. This could well be an explanation of the reason why I don't get invited to the stream to the YouTuber special events at Warlord Games. Let's find out if this is going to add to that. Now, the first thing I'm going to look at is the Hanoverians here. Now, I recently acquired another copy of, or another box of the Waterloo starter set. So I don't know if I've told this story, but last year's Christmas winner got in touch over the summer. He's a teacher, so he didn't really have much time before the summer anyway, to say that his package hadn't arrived yet and had I sent it. I had, and I didn't really understand his address because he lived in Romania. So having sent the address to my Romanian friend, she didn't understand it either. So I did my best, sent it out, and it hadn't got to them. So I said, well, what we'll do is I'll order another one. We'll get it sent direct from Warlord Games as opposed to the Outpost, which is where I got it from originally. And hopefully that'll be fine. So that one did turn up in Romania. And the same day that turned up in Romania, the original one got returned to sender. So I've got myself a spare Waterloo box set. And that's what these Hanoverians are for. The British out of that set, because my British are Peninsular War, I'm going to be doing the British as Americans. So let's have a look. Now, the first thing to say is how much do these cost? What do you get inside? Well, there are 6 miniatures inside each of these metal command packs. You get, let me see, hopefully you get 2 standard bearers. There's a finial, there's a standard bearer, there's a drummer. Second, no, he's an officer, drawing his sword. He's another officer. He's an officer. Oh dear. And this guy's probably an NCO, I would imagine. Oh no, he is a pioneer. He's a sapper. So it looks like I've only got 1 flag there. 1 standard bearer. I'm just going to quickly check with Dr. Google. If I'm supposed to have 1 or 2, let's have a look. Now on their, all right, on their website. Oh, sorry, this guy here, he is a standard bearer as well, but he's got the standard over his shoulder. Right, I see. The reason I was confused is because there are 2 flag finials there. You also get 5 heads, and then 2 more heads that are sort of special heads. So it looks like I've got a bear head and a mustachioed head. So he is presumably for the pioneer. Although the pioneer should really have a beard as well, shouldn't he? Let's see if there's a bearded head. There does not appear to be a bearded head in there. So fair enough. I'll just go for the mustachioed one. Maybe I can paint like a little goatee on him. Right, so for this pack, this cost, and brace yourself, this cost £14. That's £14, which I imagine will be about $20. That is a lot of money. I asked for two. I got the British as well. And I was thinking I might get 2 Hanoverian and 1 British. And when the bloke came back and he rang it up and he said that's 28 quid, I nearly had a heart attack. I couldn't believe how expensive that. I was like, I did only ask for one of each. He said, yeah. I said, oh, right, okay. So they are not cheap. They are not cheap at all. Now, the Perrys, they do a similar set. They do Hanoverian Field Battalion Command in peaked forage caps, red coatees advancing. Theirs is £8. So yes, Andreas, it's very, very nearly the twice the Perrys. It's I mean, well, let's chop into it. Let's see if they can justify the extra price. Well, you can see from the just the images here. Let me move them over a little. There's a lot of flash on them. Now, these things are what we call gates. So this here, where's my knife? Here we are. So these bits that come off these metal tabs, they're called gates. It's not so much flash, it's where the metal has gone into the mold and that's come out. So that's fair enough. You expect to have those on there. They can't cut them all off, but there are quite a lot of them here. Now, that could be a good thing. It could show that the models are extra detailed. Let's see if that's indeed the case. So I'm just going to trim these off here. Now, I don't necessarily need to, but they might get in the way of painting them. It might get in the way of the brush. So get rid of those. Now we go to the sapper. Let's have a look what we've got here. So that's the strap to his canteen. That's not flash, so we can leave that on. He's got a gate on the back of his ankle here. Mold line there. Let's scrape that. This is why I keep a relatively blunt knife. And I keep it blunt. I also have a very sharp knife as well. This is my blunt knife. And it's just for cleaning up, really. So I've got that there. His musket's quite bent, but that's okay. I mean, that's to be expected in this kind of packaging. That's fine. We can bend that straight. One thing that I do like about these Warlord models is the musket's reasonably thin, but it doesn't feel like it's about to snap when I'm bending it there. It feels like there's quite a good amount of tin in there, which gives it some rigidity. Now, I'm just looking here. Now, this looks like it is flash. Let me get the image up. So we've got an area here. Let me get it so it's in the light. There. That's the top of his lace. There. And there's a mold line that goes all the way around there to form a sort of C shape. So that's not great, but we can trim that off without too much difficulty. There we are. Remember, kids, always cut away from you, like I very rarely do. And then we'll go up along the thumb there. Down there. Get rid of that mold line. Just scrape along the top of the musket. Make sure there's no mold lines on there. So he's pretty much done. I'm going to bend the tab on his feet a little bit so he's not reeling. Back under here. There we are. So that's the Pioneer cleaned up. So it didn't take particularly long to clean up. I think with these models, there's always going to be a little bit of cleaning that's required. So let's have a quick look at the chat. Take a shot every time he mentions Miles. Well, a shot of I don't know. I can't think of an Irish whiskey at the moment. Lefroy. I think is that Irish or is that Scottish? I'm not sure. I'm not a whiskey drinker. In fact, the whiskey I drink is Japanese whiskey. That's how much of a heathen I am. I could have had yours. Yeah, cheers, Dan. Thank you. Well, I still need a second set, so I might take those off you. Do you still use Freddo's calculate inflation? You're damn straight I do. Yes, there's no better method. That or a sausage sandwich. Although I'm spoiled at work because we've just introduced a sausage cart at work that do a sausage sandwich for £1, so I can't really I can't really justify spending more than £1 on a sausage sandwich now. So that's kind of ruined it for me. This drummer, there's quite a few gates on him. So I've trimmed those off. But I'm very pleased to say there's not much in the way of a mould line around there. There is on the inside of his leg. That's going to be a little bit more difficult to get to. But not impossible. I'll scrape down there. These figures, Papaya, are the Warlord Games Hanoverian Command. So if you are buying the Waterloo starter set, then if you've seen my video on where to go from there, these are one of the sets that I recommend. Now, this guy here, oh, ugh, there's a that's the review. First things first, that pose, not for me. Now, he's a standard bearer. Now, you can see because he's got the little cup there for the standard to go in, the pole to go in. Now, one thing that I really, really don't like with these is that you need to drill out the hand to hold the flagpole. Not a fan. I get that it's difficult to cast them, and I get that sometimes the hole can be too big, but why is a manufacturer charging me to make extra work for me? Not a fan. Look at this mold line here. This is an absolute doozy. There's a good millimeter, maybe half a millimeter of extra metal flash that goes all the way up through his armpit. So it starts at his sash, basically, although it goes over the sash as well. All the way up to his armpit, all the way up his forearm, over to his cuff, and to the hand. That's shocking. That's a really bad mold. I mean, short of a mold slip, which is where the two halves don't come together properly, this is one of the worst castings I've seen in a long time. In fact, the only time I see mold slips these days are from my my friends in Beijing when I order from them. So very, very disappointed with that. This guy is not a very good cast at all. Now I'm not going to... They normally have a little... yes, they do. They've got a little slip in there that tells me who picked them. Now, I'm hoping that wasn't on camera. I don't think it was. Because I'm not interested in anyone getting in trouble over this. But that's poor. That's a quality control issue right there. So I'm just going back under there. We've got some gates under here. Let me get the chat up. I'm just looking at the when I clicked on the Hanoverian command, so I just did a quick Google search just to see what I was supposed to have in the pack, and the front rank ones have come up, and they're quite nice. Although again, there's a guy who's kind of hoisting the flag into the air, which is a little bit much for me. But yeah, no, he's not too bad. Now this guy here, he's sort of holding the flag in one hand, waving his hat with another. Not blowing me away. Not blowing me away, this model at all. Again, there's a terrible bit of flash there. In fact, oh my lord, it's such a bad bit of flash. It's filled in. So the cap's a little bit like let me show you. The cap's a little bit like traffic wardens' hats. So you can see they've got the band around here, so that's going to be the colour of the facing. So I've painted a battalion of these already, so that's going to be yellow on mine. And then you've got the top of the mushroom comes out over the top, so fair enough. This guy's hat here, he's got the band that goes all the way around to the front, and then the mushroom comes down over the front, because that shouldn't be there. So that should be the same width as the cap, and then it should bulge out where the top of the hat is. That is absolutely shocking. And there's a bit of burring there as well. That's where the mold has been damaged in the past. So metal has just flowed in there. This really is not good. Now, if this was £5, then fair enough. If it was the same price as the Perrys, I would probably be slightly less critical. But no, just that's completely unacceptable. No, very, very unimpressed with that. Sorry, Warlord. I actually was quite looking forward to doing this set, because I thought this was one of your nicer sets. But this guy potentially is going to go in the bin. Right, this model here, from that huge disappointment to this model here. Now, he is absolutely lovely. His pose is just drawing his sword. Nice. I can bend his sword out here. He's got a gate on his elbow, and he's got a gate on the base there. That's absolutely no problem. As I say, we can expect these. So just quickly trim those off. He's got a gate that comes out here. He's got like a greatcoat rolled over his shoulder, sort of like the Prussians or the Russians do. So that's quite nice. I don't mind that. He's got sergeant stripes there. This guy's obviously a colour sergeant. Yep, he's got a sash on as well. This model, very, very nice. I'm looking forward to getting him done. Now, one thing I'm just checking on the heads here. Is there a shouting head? It looks like that one there has got his mouth open. So he could be quite nice. You know, he's sort of shouting. He's like saying, stand back or something like that. So he's nice. I like him. It's a shame to go from him down to him. Now, one of the positives with this guy is I always put my standard bearers at the back of the unit or the back of the base. So you're not so much likely to see him. Right, so this guy. Now, this is something that Warlords do that I've not seen many others do. And they do it in their two command sets. We'll look at the British one in a second. You see, I'm having to brush away all this metal already. And that's how their officers in greatcoats. Now, this is nice. This is something that's very unusual. You don't see it so much for the British. The French, yeah, everyone expects French in greatcoats. But you don't see the British and the sort of the British, the Anglo allies, shall we say, in greatcoats that often. And that's a shame. So this is really nice. It's a nice design choice. Pose-wise, he's sort of walking forward, sword still sheathed, and he's carrying his glove in his other hand. So nice. Yeah, he is nice. However, let's get into the problems. Look at that mold line there on his mantilla. That is shocking. I'm not sure if it's called a mantilla, but that is pretty bad. It comes down his arm, across the detail in the crook of his elbow. That's not going to come out. Over his cuff, which is not too much of a problem, and down into the gap there. So that's not ideal. Let's look at the other side, and oh, good Lord alive, look at that mold line. Let me, the light is shining a little bit too much on it. Let me see if I can get it in the shade a little. It's a bit weird here because it's actually quite dark in the room, but the metal is reflecting the light. Let's see if I can get it that way, if you can see it. You might just be able to see it here. No, you can't. I can't see it now. I've lost it. There we are. You may not be able to see it because of the shininess of the metal, but this is the perfect example. Look on the camera where the light is. Look how straight the shadow falls here. That's because, again, there's another big mold line that comes out. See there? It's the light's on the whole thing. If I put it side on to the light, you can see an almost straight line of where it stops the light, and that's the mold line. Pretty bad again. Let's scrape it off. This side's easier because the arm is straight, so there's not the creases at the elbow. I can do it up here on the bit that turns over, so that's not too bad. Another way you can often tell mold lines is look at the bottom of the base as well. But yeah, no, this is not very well cast. So this is not a sculpting issue. This is a casting issue, which strikes me probably as they're using old molds that have been worn down over time, and that's what's allowing this this flash to get in. So metal molds, or molds for metal models, not that expensive. Certainly, if you're wanting to be a big global company, not that expensive at all. So this, I think, Warlords, if you're watching, then I won't be expecting my invitation to the to your open day next year, but I will be expecting new molds. There's also here as well, it's filled in with metal. Now, one of the things that I'm trying to remain calm here is that traditional figure manufacturers, you are competing not against each other. Now you're competing against 3D prints. There is absolutely no way that a 3D print would have any of these problems. Now, you could say, well, 3D print's going to have other problems as well. That's true. But say the filled-in hand that I now have to drill out to put the flag in on a model I don't particularly like, that wouldn't be a problem with a 3D print. That gap there between his elbow and his body wouldn't be a problem. So, unfortunately, I'm going to be pretty harsh on the review of this. Now, one of the things with the Perry's set is that it's not actually photographed on their website. So you have to click Google. So go and Google BH13 Hanoverian Field Battalion, and it'll come up. So that's BH13, and it'll come up. They're very, very nice models. And as Andreas points out, can I justify paying double the price of Perry's for these minis? I mean, it's not even close. I'm not sure. I could justify paying the same price as the Perry's, and that would be for me to say, again, this standard bearer, you've got to drill out his hand in order to get the flagpole through. Yeah. Yeah, if they were the same price as the Perry's, I could probably justify them, because I could say, well, I've got 2 battalions. I've got one with a Perry's command group, one with a Warlord command group, so they at least look different. For nearly twice the price, for £14, would I buy these? No, and not in a million years. So I feel like a mug for buying those, unfortunately. I will paint them up, and they will command my Hanoverian battalion. But I have to say, Warlord, not impressed. 4. 4 then 4 out of 10, I'm afraid. Not impressed. So let's have a look at some comments to cheer myself up. So Papaya says, Papaya first says what the figures. I think we've been through that. They are Warlord Games Hanoverian Command. Do you think Napoleonics is too advanced for someone with no experience of miniatures or wargaming? That's a good question, one that I will come back to, I think. Hello, the Rice Hill. Leo, those ones were the Warlord Games Hanoverian Command. We're just about to have a look at their British. Hello there from Serpent Hanzo. Serpent Hanzo, I've been watching the Clone Wars, not the Clone Wars, the other one, recently. Up, typically getting tea, so back in a bit and hopefully still here. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, very good to see you, Jamie. Blue Ram Tetra. Hang on, it's just moved. Blue Ram Tetra's Bora. Oh, I'm glad you're here. So I've almost certainly made of that. You're easy pleased with me, and I'm sure the Perrys do more than one command group. They tend not to be honest. The Perrys tend to just do one kind of. So they've got advancing, and they might do a Hanoverian battalion at firing or something like that. So yeah, maybe. Yes, no, that was a horrible mold line. That one makes me slightly worried about the Portuguese I haven't opened yet. I ended up giving up on the war of Hanoverians. Luckily, I collect Prussians. Fair enough. And I used a spare caps from the Jaegers on some periplastic Brits that came out looking pretty well. Fair enough. Yeah. Hey, very good, Will. That is indeed handy. Now, I've got the tool for it as well. That's the other thing about having to drill out the hands, is it requires a specialist tool. So that is not fantastic. No, it is not handy at all. Slime Shah, this is a Persian stream now, boys. Okay, fair enough. Well, see, I mean, Ottoman, and you would have got me. But while General Dan's in the chat, there's Byzantium will always be alive as long as he's here. So the question that was asked was by Papaya. I think it's a really good question. Do I think Napoleonics is too advanced for someone with no experience in miniatures or wargaming? It's a tough one. I'm going to say yes and no. I'm going to say no because realistically, it's no more complicated or difficult than any other period. It depends on what scale you want to play. Now, scale, I don't necessarily mean the scale of the figures, so 50 mil or 28 mil. I don't necessarily mean that. I mean the scale of the battle that you want to do. And again, that's not necessarily too much of a problem. If you've got 10 units of 5 models, it's exactly the same as having 10 units of 100 models. It's just just a question of painting and time, really. it can be confusing. I hope that some of my videos have made that a little easier, but there's still a long way to go for them. I'm aware of that. So do I think it's more, it can be confusing. It's very easy to get lost in the weeds, but if you can avoid that, then I think it's one of the most rewarding periods. Certainly, I mean, my family have said to me, "Oh, you're doing a video this week?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing a video. They always say to me, like, "Well, how have you not run out of ideas yet?" And I'm like, "Really? I mean, this is 20 years of constant warfare across the entire globe. It's not a lack of ideas that's the problem. It's having too many ideas." So, right, let's have a look. So, if I have a French and a British army, what would you recommend as a third army between Austrians and Prussians? Austrians, because I'm never, ever going to recommend Prussians. So Austrians, yep, Austrians all the way. No, joking aside, probably Prussians, to be honest, because then you can do the 100 days. They're slightly easier to paint than the Austrians as well. If it's for a small project, then I would also go with the Prussians as well, because they're quite easy to collect as a small formation. Do I think I'll ever do an early Russian get started how to play? There's a very good chance I will, but I'm going to have to reread the early Russian army, because I did a video on it. It was one of my first videos, and I kind of semi-winged it. I used to wing a lot of my videos back then, and I can't really remember, because there were about 6 different reforms, weren't they? It was a mad old time to be a Russian. But if it's an early Russian and you're not wearing a Potemkin level hat, then I'm not as interested. I'm not going to lie. Benedict says, I don't really think Black Powder's example is significantly more complex than 40k. No, I don't think it is, actually. And I think 40k is, in many regards, far more complicated. Because you've got, in Napoleonics, everyone's basically the same with a few variables. In 40k, obviously, Gretchen is very different from the Swarm Lord, who is very different from a Tactical Marine, who is very different from a Tau Fire Warrior, or whatever. Whereas in Historicals, and Black Powder especially, everyone's pretty much the same. It's just very small variations. Now, this is the second set we're going to look at today. This is Waterloo British, brackets American, Line Infantry Command. Now, the reason I'm going to do them as Americans is, as I mentioned earlier on, because I already have a Peninsular War British Army. Now, these come with only Belgic Shakos. So if you look at the Shako here, the front is higher than the back. So they're the Belgic or the Tombstone Shakos. So that makes that specifically Waterloo. Now, you get a gazillion spare heads lying around anyway, so it's not necessarily the end of the world. I'm not going to hold that against it. You do get one hat in a bicorn. Bicorns would have been reasonably rare by Waterloo, so it's an interesting one to put in. I might have been tempted to put in 5 Shako heads plus the bicorn. Having an officer in a bicorn, probably not that common at Waterloo. Now, the mathematically adept amongst you will notice I've got 5 heads there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bodies. That is because this guy comes with a head attached. Now, this one is my sergeant. He's shouting an order with his hand cut to his mouth, and an arm, which I can either put in a paste stick, which is what he's got here. That little bit of flash there makes it look like a riding crop, which I might actually keep. Oh no, they're doing Americans, aren't they? Okay, now I'm going to cut that off. If these were British in India or Egypt, I might have actually kept that. Or I can give him his spontoon, his spear. I'll probably end up giving him that, to be honest. So they're not too bad. They are not too bad at all. Happy with that. Nowhere near. So we had all those gates all over the heads and the necks, particularly of those Hanoverians. None of them here. I suspect, because this is the British, it gets a lot more hammering. This is a newer mold. There's a gate here that keeps the bicorn to the sprue. That's fair enough. I think you're going to need that for the casting process. No complaints there. That's not a problem with the casting. That's just it's a feature, not an issue. So I'm going to start off. I'm not going to do the officer yet. I'm going to start off with our friends, the standard bearers. Let's have a look. Yes, no, he's going to need drilling out. So I'm going to nip him off there. And nip him off there. Now, I've also going to get up the, let's have a look, Napoleonic British command on the Google machine. There we are. Let's have a look at some Perrys. Now, again, this guy's £14, and this one may be even more egregious. That's a great way. I love the word egregious. Than the Hanoverian ones, and the reason for that may become apparent when my computer loads. So, bicorn superiority. Yeah, no, absolutely. I do love me a bicorn, I have to say. But I can understand why they put it on the sprue. I'm just not sure it's the world's greatest idea. So, let's have a look. Standard bearer. What do we have to do? We have to drill out his hand. Not much flash, so that's not too bad. And not too many gates. So I have to say this one is clearly a much newer mold than the Hanoverians. Hanoverian, like Warlord Games, redo your Hanoverian command molds. If you want to charge £14 for them, then you got to put the effort in. You got to redo them. If you wanted to charge £4 for them, leave them as they are. This guy, lovely. Hate the fact that I have to drill out his hand. But apart from that, he is not bad. Got a bit of flash on the back of his hand there. So that's fine. We can get that out there. This guy is a drummer. Now, he's in a quite an unusual pose. You can see both his arms are up. And that's because he's got the drumsticks like under his nose. Which is, you know, if you've ever seen the Trooping of the Colour or the Royal Edinburgh Tattoo or something like that, that is a pose that they do with the drumsticks. So that's quite cool. I really like that. I appreciate that, again, he's in a slightly different pose than just drumming away. Now, up here, we've got the dreaded flash. This is not a gate. This is just flash. Now, it's an easy remove, and it's an obvious place that flash is going to appear. But I'm paying an absolute top premium price. I expect a premium product. So that should not be there. Now, this is going to be the worst part. So he's got a huge mold line under his armpit here. Not too much of a problem. But it comes up over the top here and over the stripes that are on his tunic. So what I'm going to have to do to clean that up is I'm going to have to clean between the stripes very gently. And I'm going to have to clean over the stripes as well. I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to slightly do under here. I'm not going to do that now. I need better light for it. I'm going to need to really hold it up under my nose. Ironically, probably where his drumsticks are. So I'll clip that off there. That's another gate. Not too concerned about that. Looking for flash on the other side. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Yeah, not as good as the first standard bearer, but not terrible. So we come to the second standard bearer. Straight away, I'm looking for flash up under his armpit, over his arm. There's a very small mold line there, but nothing too drastic. He's got a knob on the bottom of his elbow. That's fine. We can trim that off. He's got this huge bit of flash there. That's we'll get rid of that. It's like the same size as his scabbard. So we'll cut that off there. And then just a quick trim under his base there. Oh, what that is flying over the house. It sounds like a Lancaster bomber. There we go. Now let's see the moment of truth. Nope, he's going to need drilling out as well. Now, one thing I will say with these British that wasn't on the Hanoverians, I get them both so you can see, is there is a cup in the hands. So at least there's somewhere for my drill to fit in there as I'm drilling them out. But still not great. One of the other problems with this guy as well, he's not too bad. I can drill down and he's got his cup there that it goes into. That's fine. This guy, however, he's got two hands. I mean, you know, you would hope he does. So I've got to drill through, make sure the drill is straight enough that the pole goes into that cup in his hand there as well. Ugh, I am not excited about that. Now, to be fair with the British one, I shouldn't really complain too much because this is the second of these I've got. So I can't really complain because I knew what I was getting into with this. So this is the Sapper. Now this one's quite nice. He's not got much in the way of mold lines on him, so that's good. Bend these muskets straight, that's fine. Looks like there's a line here, but it's not. That's where his apron ends and his leg starts, so that's fine. Not much in there. There's a little bit of flash on the bottom of his musket there. A little bit of a burr on the bottom of his ammunition pouch, so let's just trim that off. Let's get rid of that little flash there. And on the bottom of the base, he's got some as well. I think pretty much all of these, the largest area of flash has been on the bottom of the base. I don't necessarily mind that so much because you're going to, no one's going to see that anyway. The corner of his ammunition pouch there as well. He's got a bit. Now, one thing that's a bit of a happy accident with this guy is looking at the handle of his axe there. It's not very long, and the way it's shaped there, it looks to me almost. This is probably putting it a bit too much, but it almost looks a little bit Native American to me. It's almost more of a hatchet than an axe. Now, that's good because he's going to be an American, so I've got absolutely no problem with that. That's what what's his name? Bob Ross would say is a happy little accident there. So that's good. No, he's definitely not a fifer. He's definitely a drummer. You can tell because he's got a big drum. So that's the usual giveaway that a guy's a drummer. It's the humongous drum that he's carrying. So I'm joking. But just, he's definitely a drummer. What else have we got? So let's scroll up a little bit. Where are we? It was very lucky though. I hadn't any plans to do any early Russians until I snagged it. Oh, okay. Now I have another army to paint. Was this an eBay win? Was it? Complexity in turn order operations makes for a more interesting war game than most broken unit wins. Yeah, I mean, well, I'm playing Bolt Action with my brother tomorrow, so there's a bit of that in there. If Percy worthy to smile, attempt the banner, crinkly bottom, decides he wants to wear his old bicorn, no, he's going to stop it. Yeah, absolutely, and that's why I don't mind necessarily having a bicorn in the set. Although, as I say, I would have liked to have had the option to have a bicorn instead of having to have one. Battle Group looks like a good World War II rule set, but haven't been able to play it. It's very popular with a couple of guys at the club that I go to. It is interesting. It's a little bit 1980s, in that you have to roll to observe and then to fire. But I mean, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. I'm getting into Chain of Command. Check out Storm of Steel Wargaming channel for Chain of Command, and Flames of War from Bolt Action. I really want to play Battle Group as well. Bolt Action is way too gamey. It gives me the feel bad. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. As I say, I'm playing Bolt Action tomorrow with my brother. He might be watching this, but if he is, I'm not taking a forward air observer with my Americans because, as you say, they're just not very fun, to be honest. Clive says, "Shudder Warlord Metal Command figures." Oh yes, absolutely. You missed the Hanoverian review. You came in on the positive bit. For Napoleonics, I only like the Warlord plastic infantry. I have a really low opinion of their cavalry. Perry's are better in every way. I, sir, completely agree. I think I want to like Warlord cavalry, but yeah, no. Convention flea market, oh, even better. No. The Victrix Rangers do look nice. I've done some reviews on the Victrix stuff. I was quite harsh with them, but yeah, I think I was reasonably fair. Have I had a chance to look at the Perry-Russian Ulans? Apologies, I have not, Will. No, you don't need to apologise. I've not had a chance to look at them yet. No, I am going to the other Partisan, which is not this weekend, the weekend after. So I might pick up a box there. It is unlikely. I'm far more likely to pick up 3 bags of Victrix Vikings, because that's what my that's where my head's at the moment. So, Russian Ulans and Perrys are an awesome set. Oh, right. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm also quite keen to pair them with some Perry Hussars as well, because the Russian Hussars front rank used to carry Lancers. So, no, that's great. And I like that they've actively made them so you can interchange them with the other sets. I think with the Hussars, because they're a very old set, so it'll be the French Hussars I use. They're a very old set. I'm going to have to cut the weapons off at the hand and glue them on at the wrist, I think, rather than replace the whole arm. So, Danjan, nice to see you, buddy. Always good to see you. So, looking at my colour sergeant, my colour sergeant Brooks, I should do him in little true, shouldn't I? There is a mold line there, so that's right on the front leg. So it's not a great place for a mold line, but you know, could be worse. Could be down the fifer's arm, the drummer's arm. That would be way worse. One thing that I'm not sure if this is going to pick up on the camera. Let me tilt it so he does. This guy's sword has got like a not a basket hilt, but it's got quite a nice nice hand guard there with the what do you call it? The sword knot tied around it and hanging down there. That's really nice bit of detail. That's come out beautifully. Very impressed with that. His pack's quite okay as well. One of the things I like about his pack is the back of the pack is actually wider than here. So it's like a flap that comes over. So that's good. You don't see that very often. I love the shouting pose. Now, one of the problems with this guy, though, is his arm goes on at that angle like so. So he's sort of dressing the ranks. So he's got his spear, his spontoon, going across the back just to make sure that everyone's in line, which is fair enough, but it makes him a little bit of a weird model. It's quite difficult to base him, really. Now we come to this model here. This is the officer, Mon Colonel, and I have to say, absolutely love this model. I think this model is arguably Warlord Games' best command model. Maybe the French guy who's drawing his sword, he's quite nice as well. But this guy is absolutely gorgeous. I love him. The hand here, not 100% sure what that's doing. I could replace that with a pistol. That could be quite cool. But with Victrix, you get spare pistol, like hands holding pistols. That could be pretty cool. But no, I really like this model. I like how dynamic he is. You could use him as a spare standard bearer. You could put the standard in there if you wanted to, although I don't think that would look great. He's wearing the great coat. We mentioned that with the Hanoverian set as well. Particularly good for Waterloo, which is a shame that it's going to be paired with a bicorn, which is not. I love the sword held out to the side like this. It's held down. He's not in a sort of an attacking pose. It's in quite a passive pose. He's got a bit of flash along the blade. That's annoying. But I don't mind that at all. He is commanding the men. Really, really like this model. This, for me, is as I say, it's a standing out model from the set. He would look really good in a silver bayonet warband. I think this is a model that you could use as a character model. If I'm honest, he's a little bit wasted as a battalion commander. I'd be tempted to get a mounted colonel, use the mounted colonel, use this guy for something else, because he's, as I say, he's a bit of a shame just to waste him as a battalion commander. He's a lovely model. So well done, Warlord, on that. I'm going to give a score out of 10 for this set. So the Hanoverians scored a very poor 4 out of 10. I think I might actually have been a little generous there. In fact, yes, I was a little generous there. The Hanoverians are going to score a 3 out of 10. This set here is much better molded than the Hanoverians. There were nowhere near the amount of flash and gates and stuff like that than the Hanoverians were. This guy is a standout. I like the drummer. He's nice as well. The standard bearers are okay. The sapper he's quite nice as well. I'm going to give, so this would be a 7 out of 10 because it does everything that it says on the tin. It does everything that you want it to, and it looks quite nice doing it. However, I am going to dock a point because it is £14. I can't, £14 for 6 models. I mean, I am befuddled that they think they can charge that much for. Well, I mean, they obviously can charge that much because that's how much they do charge. But I do wonder how many of these they sell. I can't imagine it's many. I'm going to have to go back and review my where to go from the Waterloo starter set video again, because I, in all consciousness, cannot recommend that anyone buys this set, which is a shame, because the officer is nice. I mean, they are all mostly nice models, but there is absolutely no way on earth I could recommend someone buys these models. And the reason that this is even more egregious than the Hanoverians is not only do the Perrys do a set of British Command for, what is it, £8, you can also buy the single sprue of British Napoleonic Command for £5.50. So you get 6 models on that. So it's the same number of models. You get all the extra spares that you get from there, including bicorns and Shakos. Although I have to say, you get a lot of bicorns in there. I think you only get 3 Shakos and 3 bicorns. So, okay, that's the downside for it. But on the plus side, it's £5.50. So you can get nearly 3 plastic sets for the same price as one of these. I mean, what can you say? What can you say to that? I don't know what Warlord are thinking. Again, Warlord, if you are, if you're watching, sort it out. I don't know what you're thinking. Absolutely, but yeah. That's all I've got. Right, okay, so let's go. I'm going to cheer myself up again by reading the chat. So, Gustavus Johansson says, "I'm unhappy with my Victories British. Can I just not build them?" They're one of the oldest sets that Victrix did. They are quite fiddly, but they are quite nice. The key to remember is certain arms go with other certain arms. You can't just mix and match them. So you're best off building them one model at a time rather than doing, say, 10 models, cutting all the arms off and then gluing them together. So yeah, no, I would just take your time, follow the instructions, and you might be okay. The officer model is nice. He is, Ali. I think he's a lovely model. Paint Prussian core, I can get on. I use the same model to make Colonel Girdwood from Sharp and South. Well, there you go. That's fair enough. Better late than never. It certainly is, Colin. Always good to see you, buddy. Hanoverian officers favour the bicorn over the Shako. Well, there you go. I didn't know that. So that's good. So you could always swap out one of the twat caps, as they were known when I was in the army anyway, for a bicorn for the Hanoverians if you wanted to. Damjan says, "I've been looking at Warlord's Hail Caesar range. You might see some of my Romans on the Discord. I was forced to sit 15 minutes at the site of poor sculpts coupled with egregious pricing." Yeah, no, they're not great. Although I will say, Danjan, their Dark Age range, I think they bought that range from someone else. It is absolutely stunning. It's really, really nice. Like I said, I think they bought it from someone else. It's as good as the Footsore range. They're absolutely gorgeous models. Hence the reason why I'm feeling my Viking blood pulsing through my veins, and I think I might get myself a Viking army. They've got rather expensive, these command sets. Interestingly, I question their Prussian Jaeger set price, and they reduced it. Oh, well, there you go. So, well, £8.50 for 6 Prussian Jaegers. That's very good. Yeah, they definitely need a price reduction, because £14 is just there. So Andres, you make a good point. They are better than Failcast. That there can be no doubt. However, they are cheaper than 40k. That's true. The problem I've got is they're not competing against 40k. They're not competing against Games Workshop. They're competing against the Perrys, and they're competing against other sources, Eagle Miniatures, Front Rank, 3D printed models. So, I mean, it's all well and good for them to say, well, it's cheaper than 40k. Well, that's fine, but you're not competing with 40k. It's like when people say, oh, well, Games Workshop games are cheaper than buying a full set of golf clubs. Oh, okay, but I don't want to play golf. So, I'm also disappointed with the Roman Wall of Romans and Celts I got. If they're the early Imperial Romans and the Celts, where they're all like bending forward and stuff like that, Corvinus, I would say they were their. I believe they were their very first plastic sets. If they weren't their very first, they were certainly close to their very first. So I would give them a second chance on those ones, because they are very, very old sculpts now, when plastic historicals were pretty new. So yes, they desperately need resculpting. And in fact, at the Warlord Open Day, what's his name? The guy, the guy, him, the owner of Warlord. He did say actually that he wants to go back and revisit the Romans. So I can understand why you would be disappointed, particularly if you didn't know that they were some of their first models. But I personally am inclined to give them a bit of a pass on that one, because they are very old models now. So I'm just going to put these back here. I'm just going through the comments, cradling a cup of coffee, and we're just having a chat now. I'm not going to get time for any painting or anything. Also, it's gone very dark. That storm that's lashed Ireland has obviously come over here now. Even Foundry do 8 command figures for 12 quid. Well, I mean, again, I really like the Foundry models, but when you are more expensive than the Foundry, then something's gone horribly wrong. I've got a Foundry Assyrian army that I absolutely love. My Assyrians, they desperately need repainting though. As kids these days say, I can't even. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm clicking my fingers and like shaking my head from side to side at this point as well. Well, I mean, the thing is, Glenn, I would say, if you want to get some, then absolutely go out and get some. For me, though, I wouldn't recommend someone goes to get them. The sad thing is, Bolt Action is Warlord's moneymaker. The Perrys do it all better and cheaper. Don't know how much more support Black Parallel will get. Well, that is true. They, it's weird because they bring out stuff like Epic, which I can't imagine that's making a huge amount of money, but they keep pushing it, so it's obviously making a fair bit of money. Oh, there you go. Jamie says that yes, the Romans and Celts are some of the oldest kits. Yeah, no, they are. The Perrys do World War II better and cheaper to an extent. They have a very, very limited World War II range. I've just bought a full Shumiaga army from them, and it's okay for me because I'm doing 1942. But there's a lot of stuff that they don't do. If you want to do Africa, Italy, or Crete, which is what I want to do, then they're pretty good. But if you want to do Western Europe, Normandy, or even Eastern Europe for that matter, they're not fantastic. Unless, I mean, actually, to be fair, the full Triaga range isn't too bad. But apart from that, they're not great. Bicons are very popular officers in the US military during the War of 1812. Well, that's fine, because that is what they're going to be. So thanks, Dave. Yeah, well, Dave, I'm getting your starter set for you. So those of you who don't know, Dave in the chat there, he was the first winner of the Advent Calendar Challenge, 3 years ago now, I think. And it was easier to get it to him in America than it was to Romania, that's for sure. Are you going to do a video about the Balkan troops of the Great Powers during the Napoleonic Wars? I am tempted to. At some point, probably yes, is how I'm going to go with that Mo Master Green. I'm thinking, what sets would you need to make the Irish unit that was in that one Sharp episode? Oh, the Real Islandes Garda, or whatever they're called. You could probably get away with... I can't remember what they were in that episode. Although I should do, because I'm putting together a Lord of the Sharp that's based on that. So I'm going to have to think on that one. Is it me, or does everyone regret the armies they start? Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Apart from my Württembergers, because I love the Württembergers, and my Chaos Dwarves. Because, I mean, Chaos Dwarves, who doesn't love Chaos Dwarves? For the record, I consider GW pricing to be absolutely insane. Oh, mate, no, it's, no, it's ridiculous. I think most of these command sets got sold to people who start off maybe coming from GW and only buy from Warlord. I mean, I think you're probably right. Yeah, I mean, I can't condone that though, because that's just ripping off noobs, and that's, I mean, that's despicable. If that is what they've done, then yeah, I'm not very impressed with that at all. I start early Imperial Romans, I want Caesarians. I start Prussians, I want Russians. I get Russians, I want... Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's because if you're buying Romans, Republican Rome is the only true Rome as far as I'm concerned. Having Warlord Celts and Victrix Celts the same army makes it easy to tell who are the more elite units. Yeah, that's a good idea. I don't think charging premium for substandard models is fair or even an excuse. They are more expensive than other manufacturers. They are still sold, so they are liable to scrutiny. Oh, well, I think so, Damgen. That's the way I see it. Is if they'd provided them to me for free, then I would perhaps I would obviously declare that, and I would say, look, maybe I'd be a little less annoyed. But given that I've spent £28 on those 12 models, and I think one of them is a great model, I think 3 or 4 of them are okay models, and the rest are meh at best. It feels bad. Feels bad, man. It's not the Pepe meme that I prefer. So I'm the Wojak at the moment. Warlord is taking absolutely forever to bring out their Dutch Belgium, and they announced a very long time ago their sculpts are not the best. Well, I mean, to be fair, Featherus, I mean, give them their dues. They did bring out the Peninsular War veterans, which are well, yes. No, I'm not going to get into that. I'm already angry. James doing a 1942 3-ish US Perry Army. Perfect. Well, if you come down tomorrow, you will see my 1942 3-ish US Perry Army, because I'm bringing it down to put away my brother's Germans tomorrow. I've also got some World War II Canadian STLs. Oh, very nice. Yeah. Let's see. World War II war crimes. I'm not sure about that, Joseph, but they certainly applaud people who were. But we're not going to get political. I want to build my full Shibinaga in Italy for bolt action and chain of command from the Persian offensive. They look so good. They are really, really nice. They are really nice. I'm looking forward to getting chopping into them. Chain of Command is a really cool game. I want Alex at the club to run me through some more Chain of Command. He does a lot of Pacific, sort of Burma and stuff like that with the British. So that's quite interesting as well. Do I plan on redoing the start collecting Ottomans now the Perrys are making their own range? In addition, have you seen the Parkfield Miniatures War of 1812? I have not seen the Parkfield Miniatures War of 1812. So let me get that in the Google machine. I'm not going to necessarily go through them now, but Parkfield Miniatures. Now, the Perry Ottomans, to be honest, I don't think they would necessarily change much at the moment, because they're all metal. They're all very expensive. So what I am more excited about is the Perrys today announced the sort of Third Crusades range, I guess you could say. And as part of that, they're bringing out the Arab infantry. Now, I actually think that they are going to be much better for Ottomans, because they are, they've got swords and spears and shields and stuff like that. So no, I when the Victrix ones comes out, then I may have another look at them. Warlord metal kits are some insanely poor flashing, frustrating at times. Yes, Kyle. Yes, they are, my friend. It's not the Pepe I prefer. I'm the Wojak at the oh, mate, I'm always Pepe. So, in fact, I'm going to have to dig out my coat if this weather stays up, which I've got a Pepe pin badge on. Evening, Dom. Nice to see you, buddy. Recently chatting with friends, we determined that War Games models were the least possibly acceptable plastic models available on the market. You know what, mate? I cannot disagree with you at the moment, I'm afraid. To be fair, I often defend their Russians. I am a fan of their Russians, but not pretty much nothing else. The French infantry are okay as well. Actually, the ones in the greatcoats. At least you get the full set of greatcoats, so it's not too bad. But yes, I think they are not the best. Yes, no, they are Victrix. Victrix Ottomans, not Victrix plastic Ottomans, not the Perrys. But they're not really Ottomans. They're sort of Almoravids and Al-Andalusians and things like that. They're not out yet, but they've just announced them today that that's what's coming. Well, chaps, it has gone 7 o'clock, having torn apart these two sets, and with the light fading fast, it's absolutely hammering it down out there now. I am going to call it a day. I want to say thank you very much for joining me this evening. It's been a bit of a strange one today, because we've not done any painting at all. Nevin, you did make it in time. I'm just just wrapping up though. So it's nice to see you there, buddy. Cheers and howdy from Texas. Howdy to you as well. I just got the newsletter with the pairs. More Ottomans, absolutely. Did I see the Wargames Atlantic Janissary set? I did, Dom. In fact, I did the Admirals review probably about a month ago, 6 weeks maybe. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to the Janissaries. Always love the Janissaries. They are quite cartoony, but I love me some Janissaries. That's it, I'm afraid, guys. I am going to have to knock it on the head here. It's already gone 7 o'clock. I'm going to get in trouble. But thank you very much for joining me today. And I will... There's no video this weekend because General Dan and I are going to be winning the Lord of the Rings doubles event. Okay. So I will see you guys next Wednesday for another live stream. And then we will be chopping into Theme Month, which I might try and get a trailer up for maybe this Sunday, but I think it's going to be unlikely. But we'll see how we get on. But thank you very much, and I shall see you guys next week. Take care.